Hey guys, it's Luco learning MTG, and I'm gonna start a new series, kind of like a fun little thing. Basically, you know, since Modern Horizons is out and it's a really powerful set, like in my opinion, there's multiple cards in this set that are like at a whole new power level. I think the goal of Wizards when they made Modern Horizons 2 is to create a lot of cards that would shake up the format. You know, in the past, Wizards, they'll make a set, they'll make like one broken card that's gonna shake things up. They'll make an Oko or an Uro or something, but then, you know, nothing's at a crazy power level. With Modern Horizons 2, I feel like they really were just like, okay, let's make like 10 or 20 or 30 cards that are at a power level that's pretty much above what the standard modern cards that are being played right now is. So I think you're gonna see a completely new modern format. I don't think any old decks that aren't utilizing the new cards from Modern Horizons 2 are gonna survive basically. So I think you're gonna be forced to use cards from Modern Horizons 2 in order to do well in Modern. And then the trickle effect will probably carry over to Legacy as well. Um, but basically, I think it's going to create a lot of interest. Like people are more excited about Magic when things change. So I think there's going to be a big upswing in people playing Modern, especially if Modern picks up in paper, which it definitely could, right? If people start playing tournaments in paper again, in person. So I thought this was a good time to speculate on Magic Online. And Magic Online is very swingy. I think I've talked about it in other videos, but let me see if I can find some examples. Yeah, this is an example I used in another video. Auriok Champion. So if we look at the MTGO prices, you were at one tick, two tickets, and now you went up to 30 tickets. Compare that to tabletop. Compare that to paper. Oh man, this would have been a really good spec actually. Wow, that's crazy. Oh man, I think I could have predicted this would have happened. But in general, you don't see as big of swings in paper. But that's amazing that it's worth like $60 now. That shows you that this right here is because. So okay, I actually would have predicted that Auriok Champion would have spiked in paper because basically, it started to see a ton of play on Magic Online. Okay, so the Magic Online price went way up, but simultaneously, you didn't see that spike in paper. In paper, it stayed low. In fact, it went down in paper. The reason was people couldn't use it in tournaments. So there was basically all this like pent up demand that was going to unleash as soon as people could start playing in paper events. So, wow, that's amazing. But the basic idea is that I was trying to talk about in the first place is prices, they vary wildly on MTGO. You'll get huge spikes up, huge spikes down. If we compared this to say like the crypto markets, paper magic is like Bitcoin, and then Magic Online investing is like altcoins, right? So high risk, high reward, which is why I'm a little bit hesitant to start investing in Magic Online again. But I thought, hey, this will be a fun thing to do. I'll make some videos about my specs. I'll start with 250 tickets. So I started with about 250 tickets, and yeah, I think the best time to invest on Magic Online is when there's a new set release that changes Modern, because basically the most money to be made on Magic Online is in Modern, because that's what the most players are playing. So I thought this was a good opportunity now that MH2 is out. And yeah, I'm just going to kind of follow the format, see if there's any breakout decks. There's basically like two different strategies, I think. When a new set comes out for Modern, you can either A, invest in the new cards that came out in the new set. That's kind of riskier. Maybe I'll get into why. And then two, you can invest in cards that, fit into a new archetype that is created by the new card. So that's kind of what I did here with Mishra's Bauble. Or you can just invest in cards that are just general, like staples in Modern if you're expecting there to just be, you know, twice as many Modern players. So that's kind of what I did with Mishra's Bauble. I think it's one of the more powerful cards in Modern. So I picked up 5 copies. In my opinion, what's gonna happen is all the new cards they're gonna kind of clean up the tier 2 decks. The tier 2 decks are gonna go the way of the dinosaur, and so what's really gonna be left is like the Modern Horizons 2 decks and maybe a little bit of the very most powerful cards that existed before that. And to me, Mishra's Bauble is one of those cards. And then it also works well with the new dragon, the guy who's like a delve. He's like 2 blue. Let me try to find it. Where is this dragon? Murktide Regent, right? So let me see if I can get a. So this guy, it's a 7 mana 3/3 flying delve, but it gets bigger for each instant or sorcery that you exile with it. So this card's good. You're gonna be playing Mishra's Bauble if you're gonna play this card most likely. So, and I think this is one of the most powerful cards from the new set. So I picked up some Mishra's Baubles. Also, looking at the I like to look at technicals. So, you know, another word for technicals is looking at kind of the shape of the chart. So let's take a look at this chart here. Actually, I think the charts are a lot nicer on GoatBots. And I can talk a little bit about, you know, what happens. So as you can see, you know, it just saw more and more, you know, like clear trend up. And I hope none of this is blocked by my face, but starting from about 8 ticks up to about 50 ticks, and then it got reprinted, right? So usually what ends up happening, and this happens in paper too, a card gets reprinted, it gets pushed, it gets destroyed, the price gets destroyed, and then the price kind of, you know, because the market is flooded with more Mishra's Baubles, and there's just more Mishra's Baubles than people can use. But eventually it reaches kind of a floor, and eventually the supply starts to dry up. No more supply, the price will slowly start increasing. So I think we're out of maybe what you would call a bear market or a downtrend, and now we're back to kind of an uptrend. And really, to me, the price of Mishra's Bauble will be based on how many people are playing Modern. It would probably be highly correlated just to the number of Modern players. And, you know, you'll get that huge spike if there's a tier 1 deck that starts using it. So that was my spec. Nothing crazy. And, you know, if I haven't made it clear, all these Magic Online specs are highly risky. So at any moment, anything could happen. So it'll be kind of a fun experience. You guys can watch me succeed or fail in these specs. So that was my first one. I bought some Mishra's Baubles. So I spent about 80 ticks on those out of my 247 starting budget. And then I picked up some Esper Sentinels. I made a video about Esper Sentinel where I said it was broken. So I saw this card and I immediately made a video, you know, within minutes on my first impressions on the card, just because I wanted to record my first impressions. I think, you know, and I thought it was broken and likely to get banned in Modern and Legacy. I think so far that's kind of turning out, you know, I think the evidence so far is kind of supporting me. It just won the Legacy Challenge on Magic Online, and I just saw it beat Aspiring Spike. He was 4-0, so now it's someone's playing this in the Modern Challenge and is 5-0 with this card. So far so good. You know, it's interesting. I think people are kind of distracted always with new cards. It's pretty much impossible to properly evaluate a new card, and that goes for me as well. And I think a lot of people kind of looked at this from an EDH perspective. first and foremost, and people didn't fully consider the constructed implications. You know, the like modern and legacy and vintage. This card also seems like it'd be really good in vintage as well. So that was my other spec. I picked some of these up. I figured that one of the things I like to do is you know, compare it to other cards with the same. So Urza's Saga is at $40 or 40 ticks right now. Dothy, and that card's really, really good. Dothy Voidwalker is 18. Oh, Esper Sentinel is 18 already. Literally half an hour ago, I bought these for less than 8 tickets, and it's already at 18 tickets. So that should tell you, you know, the crazy volatile swings on Magic Online, and this gives me an opportunity to talk about. Look at this spread, right? So normally your spread's going to be about 10%. You know, for Grief, you can buy it for 42 or you can sell it for 38. So you're basically losing like 10%. If you bought it and immediately sold it, you would lose 10% of your value. But look at Esper Sentinel. It's selling for 18 and they're buying it for 12. So if you bought it and immediately sold it, you'd be losing 33% of your value. So that huge spread is because the price is basically super volatile. You know, GoatBots has their own algorithm and how they determine their buy and sell prices, and it's going to be based on the volatility. So highly volatile right now. I might actually consider just selling it. You know, if I can sell these for 15, 20 ticks, I'd be pretty happy with that. So, wow. Literally, I just bought this a few minutes ago. Not even an hour ago, and it's already doubled in price. So yeah, I'm gonna continue with this little project. I'm gonna record everything I buy and everything I sell, and just see how much money I can make over the next couple months. It'll just be like a fun little thing, and I'll make a little YouTube series about it. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope to see you guys in the next video.